for me, I look at a lot of established religions, speakers, and recognize their words as hate.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's a lot out there.
And you know, if that would be the opposite of God.
Yeah.
If God is love.
Mm-hmm.
Are you wondering what that is?
And the opposite of love is fear. That someone said. It's not hate, it's fear.
Well, I think hate
That's
is
what
born.
Perfect love casts out fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think hate is born out of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think modern science bears that out.
That's all it is.
Right? I mean, it. So, you know, a lot of psychological professors or people that study such things in the brain have been telling us in the recent years that people who are ruled by fear, people who are conservative, their brains physically work different than ours.
It might be why they can't, you know, see the obvious. And then they are probably saying that, you know, the same thing about us. You know, why can't the liberals just see the obvious? You know, like Paul Simon said, a man sees what he wants to see and disregards the rest. This Friday,
I don't want to see people in Palestine being attacked with tanks and things.
right. But you do see
so
the
we don't
fault of Israel.
Disregard the rest.
And the other people see the fault of the Palestinians.
I see the fault of both.
Both? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good.
And I tell both all the time that the idea of trying to achieve peace with a gun or bomb is false.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you know, and you got a lot of fundamentalist Christians saying, you know, support Israel, support Israel, support Israel. You know, just on down the line through everything, ignoring Jeremiah that told the Israelites, you know, you can't just walk around saying we're the people of the Lord.
That's right.
If you don't do justice.
Ezekiel.
Here's something else too with regard to those right-wing Christians that are supporting Israel. If they lived in Israel as Christians,
right,
they would have a different view.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the Christian population there is as oppressed as any Arab.
How you doing?
So, something for them to think about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they don't intend to live there. They have an agenda. And that agenda is to, I'm not sure exactly what that agenda is, but it involves the cleansing of Israel and it being returned to the Jewish population so that they can realize Christ was the Savior and become Christians.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which kind of stupid if you ask me.
They think they understand what they read. And the Bible, there's a verse in the Bible that says, for we know in part, and we prophesy in part. So we don't know it all. It's a constant struggle to try to stay in the spirit of love.
Good job until that moment right there.
You ever heard of Andrew?
I don't think it is a constant struggle.
James?
It is for some.
I think one is either born with a sense of real, true morality, or they are not.
Well,
just like one is either born gay,
well, it might be, you know,
or
that might depend.
not. And the evidence of that is the fact that the brains function different. The evidence of that also is the fact that so many political views really are passed down through generations. I don't believe that morality is something that can be taught. I think it's something you're born with. And morality is, if there is a God, morality is that which...
Get yours yet?
No.
Which
hot off the presses.
Nice.
Yeah. This is what I edited. This is Occupy, first article.
Biking broccoli.
Morality is that which supports God's creation, if there is a God. And nothing that is destructive can be moral.
You're familiar with Wendell Berry, right?
The who?
Wendell Berry. He's usually mentioned in environmental, environment and spirituality.
Ashes never hurt nobody. Well, just volcanic ashes, maybe.
You ever heard of Andrew Harvey?
No.
He was at Scarrett Bennett this past weekend. You can find out about him. This is a brand new website. It's called HolyRascals.com.
Okay.
A guy named Rabbi Rami Shapiro.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know
I've heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah, him and Andrew are good friends.
Andrew
this guy, Harvey.
Oh, okay.
His name's Andrew Harvey. He's on YouTube. His website is called A Sacred Activism.
Okay, yeah.
He's absolutely a liberal.
Yeah.
And he's very gay. He's just openly gay. And he's a great speaker.
But like we were talking a little bit about the situation in Israel. And when I talk with people from Gaza, and they're all, let's push them into the sea, I point out to them real quickly that your book doesn't allow you to do that.
Right.
If Islam is peace, you can't do that and be a good Muslim.
Yes.
And I do the same with the Jewish people that I speak to, the Israelis, the Zionists, because not all Jews are Zionists.
Yeah. Yes.
So, morality is not something that can be used in a destructive manner. If anything that is destructive shows a lack of morality.
Yes. Yeah.
You can't kill in the name of God. And you can't kill in the name of peace.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that argument. I mean, from the others,
Have you heard that quote?
From the other side, there
is
crazy.
no way to peace. There is no way to peace. Peace is the way.
Right.
But you know who said that? A lot of people think it's Gandhi.
Yeah, it sounds like a Gandhi.
It does sound like Gandhi.
No, it's a guy named A.J. Muste, and he was a social activist back in the 30s and 40s. Very interesting guy. A.J. Muste.
Yeah, I think he was, involved in some way, in some small way, like in the 50s with MLK, because I remember reading about him in some of that history.
He was.
Yeah.
I love quotes.
So what's your little book? Did you have a book for your thing there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's just a pamphlet about the book.
Yeah. A 77 signature.
Of God. The title of the book is down here at the bottom. It's Divine 9/11 Intervention. It's at lovegodisLove.org. And it's free. There's no charge.
I'll check it out.
Just trying to, at the end of the thing there, I asked the guy, if he thought that love is the answer, and he said yes.
Right.
And it is.
Yeah. I've got a site, a domain name called Occupytheology.org.
Oh.
So that's where I put a lot of this stuff up.
Okay. I'll pay you a visit. Occupy Theology.
Right. Occupytheology.org.
Now see, I've steered away from most theological beliefs because of the fundamentalists in all theological beliefs.
Whoa. Yeah.
I have
and so do a lot of people. So do a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's one of the reasons why I feel compelled to do Occupy Theology, because a lot of people see that as a misnomer.
and I would point to things that Jesus said as
that side.
reasons for my belief.
Right.
I mean, he said, "You'll know them by their deeds."
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's a very important thing. He also said, beware of those who go out in the street and yell and profess things in my name.
Yeah.
Trust those that run into the closet and pull the curtains and whisper.
Yeah.
You know, and I think those are very important things. So.
I went to D.C. a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And mainly to meet with some guys that I had corresponded with over Twitter, because I was looking, when I was looking for Occupytheology.org, my original goal was to find Occupy Church.
Yeah.
And then get that, and then some church used it as a silly way of saying go to church.
Right.
You know, and every Sunday there's people on there saying I'm occupying church.
We're using it as a silly way to say go out on the street.
Yeah. Well, the rest of the week, all these guys that Occupy DC and Occupy Faith and they also latch onto that tag Occupy Church. Mm-hmm. There's a Quaker that went to Occupy Wall Street when it first started, because all the rest of the cities hadn't started yet, and he went up there and camped out and hung around, went back and was instrumental in helping start Occupy DC. And then they set up an Occupy Church tent, and they were, and they talked about, justice and God and love and economic, equality and things like that. So.
Occupy, it has no leaders, right? It doesn't have any leaders. I saw this story where this guy was going around Occupy Wall Street and asking folks, who's the leader here?
Yeah.
And he was asking this woman, who was cooking, when she kept saying, there is no leader.
Yeah.
He started asking her, he said, who are you? And she wouldn't answer him. And he kept on and on, who are you? And finally she said, I'm God. And he turned around and left.
That was in New York?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that every group has leaders, but not every group picks leaders or endorses leaders or acknowledges leaders.
Yeah.
I would submit to you that Occupy is leaders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't have leaders. They are leaders.
Yeah.
It's a corporation owned by the workers.
Well,
or a company.
I think it has cleverly avoided any attempt at corporation or incorporation. And I think that's very wise. And I also think it's very wise to make the claim that it has no leaders, because in any revolution or big social uprising, leaders are targets.
Absolutely.
And when you kill the leaders, you kill the movement.
If you kill the shepherd, the flock will scatter.
Right.
Is an old saying.
I think it's very wise, and I think when you look at how Egypt unfolded, they were very careful to not have leaders. There was so much preparation that, that was a 3-year project. They spent 3 years working on it, teaching and organizing, and there most certainly were people leading that effort.
Yeah.
But you'll never know their names.
Yeah.
You'll never know who they were. And it's a.
I think there was even a guy from Google that was instrumental in that. There for a long time and got put in jail.
I couldn't tell you his name, but I remember the story.
Yeah.
He was a young Egyptian man.
Did you see the thing that Al Jazeera did? They just put up, like in the last couple of weeks, a couple of their 30-minute documentaries. Great. There's a couple of things on Occupy.
Oh,
great stuff. And I put it up and I said, man, this beats the hell out of the American media.
Yeah, American media is nothing. For a moment we had current TV.
Yeah.
But I look at current TV now, and it looks to me like a democratic machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's very sad, because it means it's been co-opted by the corporate interests.
Right.
Yet again.
Yeah.
The two best stations on now are Link TV and Free Speech TV.
I still like current TV.
Yeah.
But I find them to be right now about the same as MSNBC.
Just about.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, sometimes you get a little bit more liberal news from CNN.
Yep.
On occasion.
I like Rachel Maddow. I watch her or something.
Yeah, I do. Ever since Oberman left, I kind of switched over to her as my.
I still watch Chink. I like the
Who's Chink?
Jink Unger.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the Young Turks. Although I think his show's a little bit fluffy in a way. It's like more entertainment sometimes than information. But I also like the guy the talks like a sportscaster on MSNBC. What's his name? Can't remember his name.
Not Ober. Are you talking about Oberman?
No.
I mean, 'cause he
Oberman's
left.
gone.
And he's gone or about to be gone from current.
Yeah,
too.
kind of chunky guy.
Yeah, I think he's gray-headed. No?
Slightly gray-headed.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. And I can't think of his name.
Ed.
Ed Schultz.
Yeah.
Ed Schultz.
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
I think he's managed to somehow keep it real.
I like him too.
I think there are not enough people. There are not enough Democrats criticizing the current administration.
Yeah.
You know,
that's why I like Jon Stewart.
we said we wanted socialized medicine. 70% of the population says it again and again and again and again and again and again and again. So why start the debate? Why start the bargaining with a list of concessions you're willing to make?
Maybe somebody made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Well, that's me.
Then he shouldn't be president.
Well, he would have wound up like JFK. I think he was the last president that tried to be in charge of anything important. And, you know, they made an example of him.
Then he's not a leader.
You're right, he's dead.
No, I mean, the current guy, if he's not willing to go to the end, then he's not really a leader.
Well, I don't think it's that he's afraid to die for the cause, but he wants to try and help the cause as best he can.
He can't help the cause by not even considering the public option.
Yeah.
You can't help the cause by not even waiting for their demands, but offering concessions.
Like I said,
every good negotiator knows. Ask for 1,000 times more than you want, and you might get a little bit less than you want. But if you start by asking for less than you want,
well, like I said, I think he's being allowed to do the best he can do.
Being allowed to do the best he can.
Being allowed to do the best he can.
I would agree with you if he were vocal.
Well, that's part of being allowed. Certain things you can't say.
You know, they hated FDR because he was vocal.
Have you seen Michael Moore's his documentary called Capitalism, A Love Story?
Yeah.
I never knew that FDR was going to introduce a new Bill of Rights that was guaranteeing folks a lot of things. He died before he had a chance to do that. And who can say, you know, what was
that
what?
Bill of Rights would have been pretty similar to the United Nations Bill of Rights. Which, you know, for all the shortcomings of the United Nations, I think that document is a great place to start a constitution.
That's the one that was signed in 1948?
Not sure when it was signed. International Declaration of Human Rights.
Human Rights, yeah, that was December something of 1948.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, that's the year I was born.
That was a UN thing?
Yeah. I think.
Yeah, I remember a pastor read that on a July 4th Sunday.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, if you tried to read it in the United Nations now.
They're tired of the trees occupying the ground.
What's the most exciting thing that good?
Anyway, I can't remember the guy's name.
Didn't catch it.
But there was a poem about patriarchy. And it's by a man who's like this Andrew Harvey, and he's coming to Scarlett Bennett next year. It's going to be a year yet, and I can't remember his name. But this, you know, Andrew Harvey read this poem by this guy. It is great. I mean, I was going to print out a copy and you know, bring it so I could read it. But it has to deal, you might be able to find out, you know, find it if you Google poem of patriarchy. And I think the guy's name is David Hall or something like that.
One thing a lot of people talk about that's lacking in the Occupy movement is solutions. That no one's really offering solutions. Personally, I think that that's an awesome strategy. You know, when you're trying to build coalition, the solutions can be divisive, whereas the target can be unifying.
Right.
The problems can be unifying. But there's a movie out online called Thrive.
Yeah.
That I think offers solutions that everyone could live with.
Yeah.
It's kind of long, and you got to get through the parts that some people might consider crazy. But
and it was done by a guy.
It's worth looking at.
Where is it? Is there a thrive.org or something?
It's thrivethemovement.com.
Something like that.
And the guy's last name is Colgate, and that's as in Colgate Palmolive.
Okay.
So he was an insider for a while.
Okay. I'm going to drive my car over there somewhere because I got to move it anyway.
Would you like to have a copy of this?